Andrew Schwab. He's a PhD electrical engineer with decades of startup expertise. Now a manager, now a managing partner at Accelerate Health. Andy follows the trends in healthcare, seeking the best in-class investments for his fund, recently investing in some of the best AI-focused healthcare. He's also a longtime investor in OneFul Health and, more significantly, an excited customer. And then I'm just going to read your bio. So to give you a little more information about Andy, he's a successful entrepreneur and investor with over 30 years of experience building and growing technology-focused startup companies. He currently is a managing partner at Accelerate Health Ventures, a leading health IT investment firm that focuses nationally on B2B SaaS solutions to improve healthcare. He has held C-level executive roles in 4 startup technology companies spanning internet software development through personalized medicine, and has negotiated 2 successful exits. He led the he led the resurgence of the First Flight Venture Center for over 10 years, mentoring 30 healthcare technology companies at the time in a wide range of complex business issues, including financing, operational challenges, and strategic mergers and acquisitions. An active investor for over 20 years and founder of RTP Capital, recognized by the Angel Capital Association as one of the region's most active investor networks. He was the recipient of an individual Lifetime Achievement Award in Life Sciences in the Triangle. He earned a Master's of Science and PhD in Electrical Engineering from the University of Virginia, and he holds a BS in electrical engineering from Duke University. So quite accomplished. Thank you again, Andy, so much for being on with us today. Just to get started, I would love to hear, tell me a little bit why the Polypill might be important for CVD patients.
So I think anytime you're dealing with polytherapy, where people have to take multiple products over a long period of time, it becomes very burdensome for the average individual from a variety of perspectives. One is just the total number of pills and the logistics of managing that as an individual. Anybody can do anything for 1, 2, 3 weeks, but when you start talking about lifetime therapies, things that people are going to have to do for 10 plus years, I think the ability to make it simpler and easier for patients to manage is really something that the industry needs to do to enable people to stay on these products for longer periods of time.
I love that. And really from there, what challenges do you see in following a physician's drug regimen after a cardiac event?
Well, as someone who's experienced that myself, I think the fear of dying drives you to follow your physician to the letter for the first 4 to 5 weeks for sure. I think everybody, after they have a serious cardiac event, they see their own mortality, and they want to change their diet, their lifestyle, and that's all well and good intention. But what's very challenging over time is to maintain those kind of changes, lifestyle changes, and medication regimens for a lifetime. I think it was very surprising to me when I first got involved as an investor in OneFul, how many people after 6 months that had a cardiac event stopped their medications, man. And just logically, it didn't make any sense to me. Why would people do that? Why would they stop taking life-saving drugs? And I think there are really 3 or 4 reasons. One is we all start to feel better over a period of time. As you start feeling better and you don't see any day-to-day change in your in a visible way, it's natural to get complacent. That's the first thing. I mean, and I think it probably happens for many people innocently enough. They skip a night or 2 of taking the products, and they go, well, nothing, darn, did I really miss it last night? And the next day you don't feel any different. You're not behaving any differently, and you're not seeing any really adverse daily consequence of not taking the product. So you start getting more and more lax. And I think over a period of years, it's very natural for people to want to wean themselves from these products. Also, people experience side effects. Some of these products have side effects that can make your life more difficult, and naturally, if you don't feel like it's providing as much benefit as you would like, there's a tendency to want to get off of these products, and stop taking them. And so I think, that's been my experience in the space. And, I think now, as someone that's been through this, I get it. I'm about a year and a half out from when I had my first incident that required some intervention. And I think that, I feel much differently today than I did about this than I did prior to the incident. I think, like I said, the first 4 to 6 months after an event, everyone's pretty careful about their lifestyle and what they do, and how often they do it. But it's very, very easy to get out of good habits quickly. Not have a heart attack, but did everything but have a heart attack. So I was one of the lucky ones. I got a clear signal that I had an issue before it became fatal. And so ended up with a couple of stents and a whole pile of drugs that I had to adjust to, and had to actually go through the experience that other patients have to go through. It's a very challenging process, in that there are certain combinations and products that they start you on, and if they don't get the response they're looking for, they start making changes, both to dosage and to product. And it can take 4 to 6 months to get that right. And that's very discouraging from a patient perspective. And I know OneFul is working with a number of partners they're working on genetic tests and other things to try to simplify that process, or shorten the amount of time to get it right. And I hope they're able to accomplish that, because I know from my own experience going through the trials and tribulations that it can be quite discouraging.
Right. And I know something that we were talking about as well, and since personally, how hard really is it to manage 4 to 6 products daily for life?
Yeah, so now that I'm on sort of a steady regimen, the problem is everything from packaging to, when I say packaging, like I have one product that comes in 3 different bottles, with all kinds of silicon, whatchamacallit, inserts to try to desiccate it for moisture. Just the packaging itself for 3 bottles for one product, and that's for a 90-day supply, starts getting challenging. Now you multiply that by 5 or 6 products. I have a bag that's about this big of all the products I'm on. That's just not practical to go through every day. So you have to use these pill organizers to basically set up a week or 2 weeks worth of product at a time. And every time to do that for a month or 2, no big deal. Everyone could do that. But to do that for the rest of your life, life gets busy. Every time I sit there and go through that, I get irritated at having to still do it. And as much as I've tried to keep all the prescriptions, as CVS likes to say, they like to harmonize my prescriptions so that they're all at the same time. It's very difficult to keep them aligned at the same time, because there's a lot of different regulations on different products for how often the physician can refill without seeing you. They have to schedule seeing you if it's within a certain window. So inevitably, over time, you get deharmonized. So you're short of certain products and waiting for others, and it's because you have to get a renewal on a prescription, or they need more information, or they need to see you before they can renew the prescription. And so I think the pill management, the pill burden when you're at 5 or 6 products is significant for the average person. It's a pain.
Right, and not to mention the side effects. I would love to hear, a little bit more about why are there standard dosages? Why is that a problem for cardiac disease patients?
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm on a calcium channel blocker at a standard dosage, and when they were fine tuning my regimen and they weren't getting the results they were looking for my heart rate and blood pressure, they decided to double that dosage of that calcium channel blocker, which, you're like, okay, instead of taking one pill, take two pills. All right, I can do that. The problem was very quickly, within a week or two, I had some side effects where I had fluid retention in my legs, where at the end of the day, I used to refer to as I'd have clown feet. I couldn't get my feet into my shoes because of the swelling. And my first reaction when I contacted my physician about it, the email and whatnot, was, "You're not managing your salt intake properly." I'm like, I cut out salt 5 years ago. Man, there is some salt that gets into my diet through if we go out to dinner or
Yeah.
you know, not reading labels carefully, but I'm pretty careful. Um, and I hadn't changed anything other than doubling that dosage. And he was like insistent, it's one of the side effects, but it's unlikely it's that. Well, after a month of dealing with that, I just took myself off the double dosage and went back to a single dosage. And sure enough, the swelling went away. And I said, clearly, and he goes, well, we could give you yet another pill to deal, they wanted to give me a diuretic to deal with the flu. I'm like, no, time out. No, no diuretic. What we need to do is change other parts of the combination. We're not just going to keep adding to the pill burden here.
Yeah.
To deal with this challenge, we're going to have to come up with other solutions. Otherwise, I won't be able to live this lifestyle. It's just not going to work. And so we added an ACE inhibitor in, and we made modifications happen. So yet we added another pill in, but we were able to do it without major side effects that would be life impacting for me on a day-to-day basis, which, if you can't get past those, then unfortunately you're looking at an impossible situation to me. And I think that's another reason people don't stay on these products. The standard dosages that are available, and I think most physicians will tell you, if there's a in-between dosage that would be better for you, they almost never prescribe it, because if you have to modify a pill, like slice pills in half or slice them into
Which was
quarters,
going to be my next question about the pill cutting. So this is perfect.
yeah, if you were going to do that for a week or two, almost anybody could do it. But if you have to do that for a lifetime, it's not practical. No one's going to do it, and so they don't even try. So some products, they go from 40 milligrams to 80 milligrams is the next dosage, and it may be that you need 50, but that's not an option for most people. And so I really think the manufacturing process for the pill industry has created a problem for people on long-term maintenance products or combination products.
And I would love to hear how you think the polypill would be a great cure for that.
So, the beauty of the polypill is that they can dial in any dosage that's required. So instead of doubling a dosage where you'd have a side effect, you could go up in much smaller increments, and see if you're achieving the effect that you're looking for without increasing the side effects. And I think, well, I don't know for a fact that that'll work. I believe that more people will find a happier compromise of side effects to result that they're looking for, that's more livable.
Right. Really, on that same vein, what are some of those long-term issues that patients have in taking a variety of those CBD products?
Well, I think there are two big problems that I mentioned earlier. One is not being able to correlate how you feel by what you're taking. It's very hard to judge that anything is still positively happening. It's not like you have a rash or you have some other disease where you have a cold or something where it goes away. This is all internal to you, so it's invisible to you. And any kind of metabolic disease where it is, a long-term issue, you're not going to see a day-to-day result. I mean, if you measure your heart rate and your blood pressure and things like that, maybe you'll notice some things. I've also noticed over time, some of these products lose their effectiveness at their current doses, and you have to consider making changes with your physician, and the ability to do that and titrate that in smaller increments rather than standard dosages, I think is going to be very, very helpful. I mean, there are economic reasons why pharmacies or pharmaceutical manufacturers manufacture at certain doses. It wouldn't be practical for them to manufacture, to one size to a size that fits every individual. I mean, the logistics of that would be unmanageable. But as a patient, I shouldn't have to do what's unmanageable for the pharmaceutical industry to achieve my optimal health. So I do believe that having a personalized solution in a polypill is one path forward to do that.
That's amazing. And I guess from the jump, what really made you interested in being a part of the Polypill journey?
Well, originally, I got involved as an investor, as Edison mentioned. I believe that looking at generics and looking at different ways that you can do polypharmacy with generics is a very interesting solution to a ongoing problem of how we give more people access to cost-effective products that can change their lives. And so I really was interested in a solution that could look at different formats. And this is one of the formats that has been evaluated as part of this journey. And, it's been fascinating to be part of the process. And I wasn't planning to be a customer initially. But as it turned out, it may turn out to be hopefully something that'll make my life easier to manage.
Absolutely. And what would you say to someone who is maybe potentially interested in investing in the Polypill? Why would you tell them to also invest?
I think this is an enormous problem. I mean, the number of people that have cardiovascular disease or other comorbidities, like a metabolic disease, we're talking about hundreds of millions of people worldwide. The ability to make a difference and enable more people to stay on products that can change the outcome, literally change the outcome of their lives, I think is a valuable, important mission. And so it's one that I think if you care about making money, but you also care about changing the world, this is a way to do it.
That's amazing. That's all the questions that I have for you lined up, but I also wanted to ask you while I had you, if there was anything else that you wanted to talk about or dive into that we didn't give as much time or attention to that you feel like we might be missing.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I mean, the one question I may get asked by people very often is Accelerate investing in this. Accelerate only invests in B2B software, so business to business software, enterprise software deals. So this is outside of our investing mandate. So as a fund, we wouldn't invest in the space. I invested personally before I became involved with Accelerate, but that's the only reason that our fund doesn't look at something like this for future investment. I mean, it's just not in our investment thesis and not what we've sold our investors in terms of what we're doing. But doesn't mean I don't believe the mission isn't very, very important and that it has a great potential.
Okay, good. That's what makes you particularly want to invest in Edison and his business as well. Obviously, there's other companies looking to make polypills and things like that. But what about Edison and what he has makes, OneFul Health special, I guess?
Edison is a true entrepreneur in all things that define entrepreneurship for me. Good technical skills, great business skills, and 3, the wherewithal to pursue this no matter what obstacles occur. And he's had many over the years. It's very hard to take an idea and bring it to fruition into a product and into a market, especially where one doesn't exist today. And especially one that has regulatory barriers, potential regulatory barriers like pharmacy. So I'm extremely proud of what he's done to date and his continued effort to push through whatever obstacles people have to try to find a solution that'll help a lot of people. I think it's very admirable, and it's why I agreed to do this interview.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Andy. That's all I